We're gonna make these Stormcast Eternals what they were always born to be.
For the Emperor!
Now there is actually quite a few different styles of Stormcast sculpts in this box, so my first job was to have a look at all our components and see what really spoke to me. Each of these Stormcasts has some unique elements: the style of the armor, the layered plates and scale mail, as well as a lot of lightning bolt and lion head insignia, and something was really tugging at my mind. I swear I'd seen this imagery before. And then, like a bolt of lightning, or perhaps a clap of thunder, it hit me. The Thunder Warriors, the proto Space Marines created by the Emperor to bring the warlords of Terra to heel before he launched his great crusade. The more I dived down this rabbit hole, the more it seemed utterly meant to be. The oversized armor style, the overlapping plates beneath the shoulder pauldrons, the lightning bolt detailing, and immediately one style of Stormcast unit spoke to me: the Annihilators. So much of my work here is already done. They are the perfect foundation. For my kit bashing components, I knew that 40k bits were a no-go, but luckily Robbie Black, the absolute legend that he is, recently sent me a whole horde of Horus Heresy bits and pieces, so I grabbed a few Mark III helmets from the old resin kit and started mounting them into the suits. I kept the neck plate from the Stormcast helms and drilled a recess to glue in the Marine heads, and then to give them their iconic Thunder Warrior plumage, I went back to the Dominion box and found some awesome plumes attached to the helmets of the Praetors. With some precision scalpel work, I harvested the plume and the mounting ring and glued it straight down onto the top of the Mark III helmets, and these guys are already screaming Thunder Warrior. Up next is our loadout, and we of course need the signature weapon of the Imperium, the Bolter. The Thunder Warriors technically had the earliest version of this weapon, but for me the Umbra pattern Bolter was close enough. For my first Thunder Warrior, I kept the arms in the push-fit positions from the box and gave him a Heresy-era chainsword, and then with the position of his head, nailed a pretty cool contemplative pose. For the second sculpt, another Umbra Bolter went in the right hand with an underslung chain blade, of course, and then cut away the push-fit peg and trimmed down the upper arm to get a bit more freedom with the pose. This allowed me to achieve a single-handed hip-firing badass, and with a bit of plastic glue and super glue in the joint and then some green stuff to rebuild the arm's cloth, he's as good as new. For his right hand, I this time opted for a bolt pistol to make him even more of a rogue. Who needs to reload when you're spitting death from both hands, right? Warrior 3, the leader of our cadre, needed something special to set him apart loadout-wise, so I decided to try and emulate my favourite reference image and gave him an early version of the Custodes Guardian Spear. Back to the Dominion sprue, and I liberated a spear from one of the Vindicators, and after trimming away some excess wrist and forearm, I had a right hand that would mount nicely into the Annihilator vambrace. But first, the weapon itself needed some work. I separated the spearhead from the haft and then set about making the bolter component for the top by hacking apart two bolt pistols, removing the magazine and handle to get a stripped down receiver, and then gluing them side by side, which I'm pretty sure means it rerolls ones now or something. I drilled out the top of the staff and used some steel rod, otherwise known as paperclip, to mount the bolter to the top, following the design in the picture. Then I trimmed down the decorative component of the spear tip and mounted it underneath. I then added some guitar wire for a bit of power cabling to join the blade to the staff, and the look was complete. With the weapons done, it was time to get these massive suits of thunder armor a power supply. So I stole some Mark III Space Marine backpacks to mount on the rear of the armor, and to get a nice flush join, I sculpted a mounting plate out of green stuff. To keep making our awesome leader stand out, I just had to give him a cape, so again, raiding the Dominion box, one of the Praetors kindly donated some nice flowing material that could mount nicely beneath the backpack, and then used green stuff to continue the cape upwards to mount at the back of the shoulder pauldron. Then, with a few grenades, ammo pouches and sashes, my Thunder Warriors were ready for painting. I started off with a Chaos Black Prime, which is integral to my first layer, a heavy overbrush of Runelord Brass. I applied this with a large makeup brush to get a fantastic application of brassy tones to all of the raised and mid-tone details, whilst leaving the black in the deepest recesses, establishing some natural shadows. I then picked out all of the armor accents with Retributor armor. Next, I gave the armor an all-over wash with Agrax Earthshade, and then while that layer was still wet, added some Typhus Corrosion to specifically specific recesses. This wet working ensures a subtle blend to the Typhus technical paint, which can otherwise leave some pretty hard lines as the gritty texture dries. These two together give us an awesome grimy, brassy tone. To finish off the metallics, I grabbed Canoptic alloy to apply some subtle edge highlights to the highest details and any spots of the armor that are worn down by regular contact. This silver has a subtle red pigment that warms it just a little, so it's the perfect silver for us. I also used that for some quite heavy layer highlights on the scale mail, and then washed them back with Nuln oil to give us a much more silver feel to help break up the different armor tones. Up next was all of our reds, the plumage, the leader's large cape, and the small layers of cloth beneath the armor plates. First a base coat of scarlet red, and then two wet blended highlights with gory red and bloody red to accent the raised folds and the ripples of fabric. I also gave the plumes a quick dry brush with Wild Rider red to crisp up their detail. Then there were a few small ammo pouches who got hit with Black Templar contrast, and then there was an oath paper and a loincloth on one warrior, which I decided to try turning bone to try and break up the monotony of dark grimy colours, and I really love how much it added to the scheme. This highlight was a lovely pop, and I wish I'd put a few more scrolls or something around on all the other models, but I didn't want to reference the purity seals too closely. I kept all the weapons really monochromatic, just like the scale mail, highlighting their details with Canoptic alloy, and then leaving all the other gun details the black prime, which often had a bit of a subtle accent from the overbrushing anyway, and then I washed it all heavily with Nuln oil. The handle of the Guardian Spear got a couple of layers of leathery browns and a wash with Agrax Earthshade, and then the painting was done. Final step was to throw down some fast-drying base-ready glue and dip them in the grimdark city rubble base-ready, and then lock it all down with scenic cement. And now these guys are ready to get massacred by the Emperor on Mount Ararat. You can grab these and all of your basing needs at my online store, zorbazorb.com. I am actually so happy with how these turned out, but what do you guys think? Do Stormcast Eternals look better as Space Marines? Sometimes life is an unexpected journey, and today that journey was hacking up models I don't like into obscure conversions for models not many people have heard of for a rule set that doesn't really exist. Sounds like a winning YouTube formula to me. If anyone wants to see this madness continue, comment below. Maybe I'll just make a whole army of Thunder Warriors. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I'll be back next week with one of the craziest painting projects I have done in a long while, and that includes the crazy bastards we did today. It is going to be wild. See you next time. Lockie out.